The K-State football team has continued their winning ways into Week 10 of football season. Here to tell you more is sports anchor Dan Page.
Thanks, guys. The second-rate Wildcat football team entered last Saturday's contest with Oklahoma State, looking to earn their first 9-0 record since the 1999 season. We'll pick things up in the second quarter as K-State held a 17-10 lead at the time, but that lead was increased as sophomore receiver Tyler Lockett takes this kickoff back 100 yards for the touchdown to match the Wildcats' largest lead of the first half. But the Cowboys answered on the ensuing kickoff with a touchdown of their own as Desmond Rowland ran back to kick 80 yards for the score to make it 24-17 Wildcats. K-State would get another score on an Allen Chapman pick six to make it 31-17 at halftime. K-State got out to a quick start in the second half as senior quarterback Colin Klein and Heisman Trophy candidate punched it in from 1 yard out to give the Wildcats their largest lead of the night, 38-17. Klein would leave the game later, but Daniel Sams, redshirt freshman, would come into the game, take over, and maintain the offense the rest of the way as K-State won 44-30 and improved to 9-0. After the game, head coach Bill Snyder wasn't exactly happy with this team's performance.
Let them throw for 400 and some odd yards. I didn't feel real comfortable about that. I didn't like the fact that we gave up so much yardage on our kickoff cover unit. And I didn't, like the fact that we missed field goal. And, and aside from that, then the rest of it is nitpicking. But those are the obvious things. Those are the same things you saw.
The Wildcats head to Fort Worth on Saturday to take on the TCU Horned Frogs as they look to expand on this undefeated season.
Joining us again today is sports reporter Dan Page.
Dan, you gave us some great news about the football team earlier in their undefeated season. What else can you tell us about some of the K-State sports?
Well, guys, there's a lot going on right now with the football team, women's basketball, and men's basketball. Well, let's get started with a special trophy that came to town. This past weekend, the BCS National Championship Trophy made its way to Manhattan. The trophy has traveled to games of all the top-ranked BCS teams each year, and the trophy is given to the best college football team in the land. It was a big surprise to the media that the trophy was in Manhattan and not in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where LSU and Alabama were playing. I'm pleased to have joined with me Eddie Greer, Assistant Sports Director with the Wildcat 91.9. Eddie, a big game coming up for K-State as they head down to TCU.
That's right, K-State going down to Fort Worth this week to take on TCU. TCU coming off a double overtime victory against West Virginia, led by their freshman quarterback Tavon Boykins. So this is going to be an interesting matchup for the two teams.
You mentioned TCU. They're coming off a victory against West Virginia. They won by 1 point. And K-State had their way with West Virginia on the road, so a night game at Fort Worth shouldn't be a problem for the Wildcats.
Shouldn't be a problem. Colin Klein should be back and ready to go for the Cats as they prepare to continue their undefeated season.
Now they just have 3 games left, Eddie, 2 road games, all Texas teams, believe it or not, at TCU, at Baylor, and Texas. How do you see the Cats going?
I see the Cats got a good opportunity to win all 3 of these games. It's going to be tough, though, but with Colin Klein and John Hebert, K-State has a good chance to win all 3 against all Texas teams, as you mentioned.
Well, thanks, Eddie, for joining in with us, as always.
Thank you.
Now let's take a look at women's basketball. After going back and forth with the Tigers for quite some time for Fort Hays State, the Wildcats finally found some breathing room thanks to a basket from sophomore Asha Woods that kept a comfortable lead for the Wildcats as they won 68-57. Monday, the Lady Cats beat Washburn in their final game of exhibition play, 75-42. The team was without guards Mariah White and Haley Tejada, who are each serving a suspension due to failure to meet departmental requirements. The K-State women are back in action on Friday evening as they host the Idaho State Bengals at 5:30. The men's basketball team also started the exhibition play as the Wildcats blanked MIAA foes Washburn and Emporia State during exhibition play this past week. Against the Ichabods, K-State got out to a hot 22-2 start in the contest and had 4 players in double figures. The Wildcats beat the Ichabods 81-61, the final. In Sunday's exhibition game, K-State got a big boost from forwards Thomas Gibson and freshman DJ Johnson, who combined for 29 points and 14 rebounds on the afternoon. The Wildcats are back in action at 8 o'clock Friday night inside Bramlage Coliseum against the Fighting Sioux of North Dakota. All right, we have one more commercial break, but don't leave us yet. We'll have another look at weather when we return.